So this is a basic turn 1 replay. This duel does not last long at all because he ends up surrendering. But of all the replays, they all seem to be stemming around. This is what most the Skull 7 decks on Master Duels are basically doing turn 1. So to be an enemy to my own fellow Skull 7 players, this is what you're watching out for when you see this. This is what they're trying to set up. Essentially, you get to lock your opponent out of their extra deck for 1 turn, which is basically a key feature of most decks in Master Duel. So once you lock them out of the extra deck, for most decks, that's massive kick in the balls. The idea is you want to get into a Uni-Zombie. So I have Solitaire, so I can triple Solitaire, go into Uni-Zombie. Uni-Zombie is going to basically target itself to send from either the hand or the deck, and you can do it both once per turn. So you can do each one once. And it will increase the level of target that you choose by 1 level, but it is relevant in this situation because we're going to link someone with Uni-Zombie. So I send Misery from the hand to the graveyard. And then I send a White Baking from the deck to the grave. White Baking essentially just is part of the 2-part engine of the deck. The first part is any card that basically just gets this to the grave. Whether it be linking this with Link Karibo and getting it to the grave that way, sending it to the graveyard with Monster Reincarnation like the one I have in my hand, or Uni-Zombie from the deck. As long as it gets sent to the graveyard, this will trigger. But this is a core part of the Skull 7 engine. Send it to the graveyard. When it goes to the graveyard, you get to add 2 cards that list Skull 7 in the text to your hand, with different names. You can't both have the same name. And then you discard 1 card. So usually what you'll do is you'll add a Prince and a White Mare, or a Prince and a King of the Skull 7s to your hand. So I had White Mare and White Prince. Now you gotta remember, White Mare and White Prince is the basic turn 1 play that you should be looking towards, because this is where all your combos come from. Uni-Zombie, sending White Baking, then adding the White Prince and White Mare to hand. So you discard the White Prince in the final resolution of the White Baking effect, and then at this point Prince will now activate. When Prince is sent to the graveyard, you get to send 1 regular OG vanilla Skull 7 and 1 Lady in White from your deck or your hand to the graveyard. So he will trigger. And now you can activate second effect to banish 3 cards, and 3 Skull 7s including, 2 Skull 7s including itself, so 3 total, in order to special summon a King of the Skull 7s from the deck. The point of this is get them banished, because White Mare has the effect to, well, 2 effects. 1, you can return 1 Skull 7 to the graveyard from the banish zone, or you can special summon a King of the Skull 7s or a Lady in White from the banish zone to the field. So at this point you want to special summon your Lady in White that's now banished because of Prince's effect to the field with White Mare. The Lady will come to the field in defense, and then you will link summon into your help. The help, I can't even say that. Helcafibrax, which will on summon allow you to special summon a level 3 or lower tuner from your deck or your hand. From my deck, you have choices of Glow Up Bloom and some more copies of Uni-Zombie. I will pick Uni-Zombie in this situation. If I had a zombie world on the field, I would pick the Glow Up Bloom, because the Glow Up Bloom, when sent to the graveyard, can special summon my my Doom King Belladrop to the field, which this one actually isn't here. And so every time, once you have this out, you have plays to disrupt your opponent with 1 banish and 1 negate per turn, and you can activate 1 each, 1 of those per chain. So in the different situation when I zombie ward out, I would add bring out bloom from the field. So I'll use the Mizuki I sent earlier to bring back the lady, and then I will XYZ overlay to go into Levier, the sea dragon. This will allow me to recycle the Mizuki I used earlier, bring it to the field. And I'll use Mizuki and the king to go into Dagda. Artifact Dagda will now sit there. And what this will do is, on your opponent's turn, if any card activates from the field, I get to set a artifact card from my deck to the spell and trap zone. And there's one in particular. I only use one. You only need one copy of it in your deck. If you've milled it by mistake, if you've used grass, then this is a dead combo and you shouldn't go into this to begin with. But fortunately, I haven't milled it and we're good. We're good. So I'll use Mizuki again because what I'm trying to do is I want to set up a card for the Synchro Fusion because this is the second effect of this card. So on an opponent's main phase 1, I can now tribute this off and then special summon from my extra deck a Synchro Tuner monster, anyone. As long as it's a... no, I don't think it has a limit on the level of the Synchro Tuner that you use. As long as it's a Synchro Tuner, bring it to the field. The lady's going to come to the field. She'll give me a target for a non-tuner monster for the Synchro Summon. Activating Needlebug Nest to mill 5. And I'm lucky enough to get another baking. Allowing me to pop up another prince and a king to hand. So now we've got more fodder for boosting king. Now, the moment I want to do this as soon as possible, as early as possible, because you don't want to dodge around kaijus and stuff. So they've activated reinforcement of the army. So at this point, I'm going to activate Hulk. Hulk is going to go to the graveyard, and he's going to bring out specific card TG Wonder Magician. Now, normally I would chain Dagda to the activation of Hulk, but he decided to chain to me, so instead I'll just change to the emergency teleport. No big issue, no big deal. So now Dagda's going to special summon, or set in the back row, one artifact monster from my deck, and that card is Artifact Scythe. Now, this is a great card, absolutely disgusting card. So when this card is destroyed on when this gets special summon on your opponent's turn, your opponent will be locked out of their extra deck for the entire turn. They cannot special summon with the extra deck at all. So this will shut down all their plays. So in order to get this onto the field, and special summons to this field to get its effect, we are summoning TG Wonder Magician, which is also a part of the chain that we just started with Hulk. Hulk will summon TG Wonder Magician. And TG Wonder Magician has an effect, right? Her effect is compulsory, so you have to pop a back row card. If you have no target except your own cards, and you don't have this on the field, you're gonna be popping one of your own cards because this is not a compulsory effect. It's not a optional effect. What is optional is the ability to synchro summon whenever you want on your opponent's turn. So she will now pop the Artifact Scythe, because when the Artifact Scythe is popped and destroyed in the back row, it will special summon itself from the grave back to the field. So TG will now trigger, popping Scythe from the field, and then I chain the effect of TG Wonder Magician's second effect to special summon using to synchro summon using Lady in White on the field, and I will go into a Berserker of the Tenyi. Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, great card. This card essentially, once per turn, when your opponent activates a card effect, a monster effect anywhere, whether it be in the graveyard, in the hand, or in the field, and I think it might work for the deck. I have never had an opportunity to try it, but wherever they activate a monster effect, you can chain Draco Berserker of the Tenyi to that effect, and then banish that monster. Non-targeting, because you're chaining it to the activation, you're not actually choosing the target. So he's now creating a situation where now, once I pop this card, the Scythe, he will be blocked from the extra deck, and then the first time, or any time he activates any effect from his hand, so it sets up some more defenses on the board, I can banish it at least once. Scythe will pop, come back to the field, and then Scythe will now activate, and at this point onwards, he can no longer use the extra deck. He activates the danger from the hand, I chain Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, it gets banished. At this point, he just surrenders. But that is a turn 1 play. They don't all look like that, but they all kind of go through the flow of getting into the Scythe play, because that is your best turn 1 play in Master Duel right now for this deck. Going into the Dagda, the Helk, and into the Dagda, and to, like, if you don't have Mizuki, then you're just going to go into the Hulk and the Dagda, and you won't have a synchro summon on your opponent's turn. But the value of just blocking your opponent from using that extra deck in that turn 1 on their turn is absolutely just so powerful. You don't need to do anything else. Anything else is just icing on the cake. So if you can get a Berserker on the field, if you can get a Doom King Belladrock onto the field, as well as this extra deck lock, then you've absolutely just, you're going to be dominating, going to be crushing your opponent. Unless, of course, they're running Outlich, in which case, you know, they don't really use much of the extra deck anyway. But that is the turn 1 play. This is what it kind of will look like. So if you see a Scale 7 player like myself, you know, going into these different plays, know that they are leading up into this lock with the Scythe. Some people brick, but majority of the time, if you see them go into the new zombie, ditching white baking to the graveyard, and then adding a white mirror and a prince to hand, you know they're gonna lock you out, and you got to stop that, because that's just absolutely just gonna ruin you. But yeah, have fun with this.